Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast.
Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, Dash in the park here. I'm finding out last second that Mr. Michael Hebert is not joining us, at least not right now. I guess he's a game time decision. He is one of those guys that's a little too soft tonight. As I have been lately, I've been away, boys. It's been a while. It's been a minute, as they say. I miss you. If I look like I'm hot and sweaty, it's because I am. And if you're wondering if I smell like I look, you'd be correct. Patrick Phillips.
I wasn't wondering that.
I'm looking at you. At Oilers Fanatic on YouTube. You can catch him there with his other 17,500 followers or whatever the hell you're up to now. As well as our other regular crony, Mr. Ryan Lotsberg. He's the Zack Hyman of writing for heavy hockey. He's a dog on a bone. He's always got something going. I'm sure he's going to tell us about a couple of new ones that he's got cooking. How's your Wednesday, fellas? How's it going? Tell me something fun.
Good. Aside from technical difficulties getting us live onto Edmonton Sports Talk here, things are good.
Wow,
we're
that's all
live
right.
on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, but not on Edmonton Sports Talk right now, but I'm working on it.
All righty. Well, I'm sure the millions and millions of listeners will wait for us. But I don't mind getting into it if you guys don't. Big game last night. We saw the 4-1 victory. The Edmonton Oilers are one win away from a return trip back to the Stanley Cup. What can we say about Leon Draisaitl and Corey Perry keeping it going for the Oilers? Each had a power play goal and an assist, and the Oilers took a commanding lead in the Western Conference Final. I liked Kapanen. I liked Henrique. Nuge was good for me. McDavid was being McDavid. Give me your thoughts on the game, you guys. Ryan first. Or he's still doing stuff that's
Patrick can go first.
Technique stuff. So, Patrick, overall thoughts on just the game or where we're at?
Well, I think over my last few videos, I just can't stop raving about Stuart Skinner, just the absolute turnaround we've seen for this guy. I'm just so incredibly happy for him. All the crap he was taking, and he has just shut everybody up. I mean, he's given up 2 goals in the last 3 games, a couple shutouts before then. I mean, he has just been everything and more for the Edmonton Oilers, so he's definitely been my focal point of the last few videos I've done. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he's probably been the most consistent Oiler for the Oilers through this whole playoff run. He's just that guy that does a little bit of everything, the Oilers' Swiss Army knife. So those 2 guys in particular for me, I mean, we can always talk about Connor. We can always talk about Draisaitl, and those guys, to their credit, just always consistently perform. They get those big goals when we need them, but the real strength of this team has been the depth, and they're getting it from everywhere. And Nuge and Stu have been the real standouts for me, I think.
Yeah, I heard Dusty and Tommy even throwing out there that this is potentially Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' legacy series, right? Like when it's all said and done and he's got the skates hanging on a hanger and the laces are all tied up for the last time. Remember that series that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had in 2025 versus the Dallas Stars?
Yeah.
went fifth player in NHL history to start off a Western Conference or a conference final of any kind with multi-point games in every game. You know what? I just keep being marveled by, and maybe we shouldn't be at this point, Patrick, but everybody's flipped a switch.
Yeah,
Everybody's
everybody's gone.
flipped a switch.
Yeah.
Outside of maybe Draisaitl, I think everybody's punching above their regular season weight.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, I mean, even a guy like that came in late last series, Kasperi Kapanen, like he got an empty net goal last night, but he's been bringing speed. He's been doing all the little things that you can ask for a guy who came in that was a waiver wire pickup for this team. I mean, how much credit do the Florida Panthers get for all the way they constructed that roster, finding different players in different ways? I mean, one of our biggest pickups is a guy we got off waivers this year, and the St. Louis Blues didn't even want him. And, and it was nice with how things worked out in the summer with the St. Louis Blues for us to get one back going our way. And he's been a big contributor since he came in.
Yeah, it's crazy to me, honestly. I had lunch with Tom Gazzola a couple of weeks back, and it was before this series had started, and he had told me that like Kasperi Kapanen might be the most frustrating Edmonton Oiler for him to watch. In his words, and I'm probably paraphrasing a little. It's just that he skates around really, really, really fast and does nothing. Absolutely does nothing. And I would say Tommy and probably a lot of other people have had their minds changed. Kapanen's been great, like empty netter or not. He's scored some important goals for this team and in important times. The other player you said there was Skinner, Stu, of course, that we're talking about. And like, tell me something about the mental fortitude of a hometown guy who's coming in to play the pipes for his hometown team, his favorite team growing up. He's supposed to be the backup. He gets SH hockey stick T on this entire season, like bad. How many times did people like you and I, Patrick, Ryan, other people on this podcast, but certainly not a lot of others, Stuart Skinner's the guy that got us to Game 7 last year. Patrick, I'd say that guy's back.
Oh, even better than last year, I'd say. Like he was good last year. Like, I mean, remember going back to Game 6, like the Oilers basically won Game 6 against Dallas last year because of Stuart Skinner. But I think this is the best we've ever seen Stuart Skinner in his career. Like the saves he's making and how calm and cool, collected. Like even it was a couple games back where he got a little acrobatic, few giveaways here and there, but it doesn't seem to faze him. Like he fights it off. And like I said, 2 goals allowed in the last 3 games. I mean, that's been the biggest thing. I mean, the Oilers have been pretty much scoring at will as well, but when you have a goaltender like that, and he's certainly been helped by a rock solid defense, like this is also the best. Yeah. Like in the whole time I've been an Oilers fan, this is easily the best defensive team I have ever seen.
Commitment.
The way they're playing collectively as a 6-man group. And the most impressive thing is all this has happened without their best defenseman all playoff long. Yeah, they have looked this good. Like nobody could have predicted they would look this good defensively without Matthias Ekholm. We're struggling to think about how we can insert Matthias Ekholm into the lineup. The defense is playing that well.
There isn't room. There isn't room. Everybody on this team is doing their best Matthias Ekholm impression. And they're pulling it off. They're pulling it off. Right? Yeah. And, I've been on the soapbox, and I'm not going to take any away from Skinner in this moment. And, top 3 to 5 goalies in the world make a difference, and the rest are systematic. But you know what? The system's bloody working right now, boys. Right? Like Skinner even said it in the post game. I got his quote here. It's time to reset again. I'm not over until somebody wins 4 games. Oh no, sorry, that's the wrong quote. So now we're on ice, and it's just 1 game at a time. I mean, maybe that was round into Jeepers Creepers. Where did I lose that quote? Something about Skinner saying like the commitment and how guys were selling out for defense, and here it is. How we played last night as a team was fantastic and shows a lot of courage. The way that guys are blocking shots, Skinner said. For myself, it definitely felt good out there. I'm just trying to give myself, the team, the best chance that I possibly can every night. He's acknowledging the team. He's acknowledging the defense that's out there. He's acknowledging that it's the commitment the commitment to defense. You can try and play defense. You can work hard. You can be a dog on a bone. But if you've played a good amount of hockey, there's a commitment to defense. It hurts. Defense hurts. Physically, it hurts. It's not
Well,
that fun.
And I don't think even saying the defense is playing really well takes anything away from Stuart Skinner. They're doing their job. They're doing their job. He's doing his job. It's not supposed to all be on Stuart Skinner to stop everything so they can just sit around and do whatever the hell they want in the defensive zone. Like, they got to be making sure there's shots that Stuart Skinner can see. They're getting rid of rebounds. They're not giving him crazy opportunities to try and stop. So, yeah, I think just everybody's doing what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely. I see Ryan looks like he's settled in his chair there, so I'm going to go out and make a game time decision on my body language reading and think that he's probably got his technical difficulties taken care of. So, Ryan, I want your thoughts on the game. I would say the Oilers got better as they went on. Super key that they survived that flurry to start the game. At that second period, I can't remember what I heard the shots were, but something just astronomical for the Stars, 21-7 or something. Correct me, please. But then that third period is a whole nother story. They said at one point that they had held them to one shot, and it was like, how far into the third period? So, I'd say that the play really pushed from one end to the other. It was always tilted to that one end of the ice, to be honest, but Ryan, what were your overall thoughts last night?
Hey, yeah, you got it right with the first period there. It was all Dallas all the time, and Stuart Skinner was fantastic. He was great. He kept us in the game in the first period. Like, for us to come out of that first period with a lead was not the way you would expect that script to go based on how the shots were and how the 5v5 play was in that first period. But you're right. The Oilers got better as the game went on, and that third period was an absolute clinic. I think the Stars had 4 shots in the third period. Like that,
Wow.
that was just a total clinic. Like to elaborate on Patrick's point, like, yeah, the team's playing great defense. Though there's 2 things that I've noticed specifically. Like, they're not giving up those rush chances anymore because the forwards are playing a lot tighter to the defense. Like, the group as a whole is a lot more connected, and the boys are selling out to block shots big time. Like, it's not just Jake Wallman or anybody. It's not one guy in particular. Like, Trent Frederick at the end of one of the last games, I think it was the end of game 3, big block shot there. He gave a stick to the defenseman, goes out to the point, blocks a shot, gets a tap from Bouchard, then that wraps up the game. Right? It's little things like that. We're seeing the guys sell out all over the place, and they are making Skinner's job easier, but Skinner's also answered the bell, and he's been great.
Yeah, I absolutely, no doubt about it. Going on with that, I guess, Patrick's mentioned Nuge and Skinner, and I think those guys aren't the only 2 guys that deserve accolades. Certainly give them the roses if you want, Lotzie, but, highlights for you, who really stood out?
I mean, in my post game wrap that I did, I had Nugent Hopkins and Skinner as my standouts for Game 4, and I would say they're my standouts for the entire series so far as well. Like, what Nugent Hopkins has done has been unbelievable. Like, you were just talking about his legacy series, and like Leon Draisaitl called him the best player in the series. That's high praise, right? Coming from Leon, who himself has 7 points in the series, and he's being overshadowed by Nugent Hopkins. 5th player all time to have 4 straight multi-point games to start a conference final, as you pointed out.
First one in 35 years, I just read.
Yeah, and he's the 3rd in the last 30 years in points in the first 3 games of a conference final, behind Malkin and Jeff Carter, and right ahead of Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point. So that's a pretty classy list to be a part of.
Yeah, no kidding. It's not just high praise because it's coming from Leon Draisaitl. It's high praise because you're being compared to Leon Draisaitl. And it's high praise because you're also being compared to a guy named Connor McDavid, if you've ever heard of him. What I really liked that you said in all of that too, buddy, was how well they're limiting Dallas's chances off the rush. That was something that Mrs. Dash and I were talking about last night. I've just found that as the games go on, the space that they have after they pass the red line is less and less and less. There's two different instances last night. So my personal opinion, and go ahead and correct me if you think I'm wrong. I think Brett Kulak is the best gap closer we have on our team. And there's a couple of times last night. One was Emberson and one was maybe it was Wallman or something. I can't. No, it was Stetcher. Where I was like, oh wow, what a great gap close there by Kulak. Like just snuffed that right out, and then the camera pans back, and I was like, oh crap, that was Stetcher that time. Nice, And then it happened again in the third, and I was like, attaboy, Cooley. Oh, is that 38? Oh, that's 38. And it's like, what? Wow. And that's how Dallas is built, Lotzie, right? Like they're built to score off the rush. They've got those top three lines that, are famously or infamously, able to all be a top line. Well, look at them now, right? And they're stifled by our speed, and we're bullying the hell out of Dallas. We're bullying the Dallas Stars. Now, Michael's not here to defend himself, and he was absolutely asinine in his opinion last time I was on, saying that intimidation doesn't matter in hockey. But the Panthers are bullying their way through the East, and the Oilers are bullying their way through the West. And call it what it is, and I love seeing it. When have we ever been the team that's the aggressor? And speaking
Never.
of, right?
Ever.
And speaking of when have we ever been the team, fill in the blank. And guys, this, to me, knock on a piece of wood around you right now. And I'm not closing off Dallas right now or by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, you guys know I picked them to win the cup, so all due respect. I feel like this is a team of destiny. If Nurse two-handed Hins last year, he'd have got a 2-game suspension. If Coach Hiller calls Kane for the goalie interference last year, Kane gets a 2-minute goalie interference penalty, and LA scores on the power play. We're getting the breaks. The breaks. And that bodes well. I don't think there's ever been a Stanley Cup champion where you look back through the storybook through 16 wins and saw a few times where, they got a little lucky there. Guys, the refs are calling it our way. We're getting breaks.
Yeah.
They're missing our two-handers. They're like, that's what's surprising to me. Don't you think, Patrick? Like, isn't that such a huge change?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good. I mean,
absolutely.
When things are going your way, things go your way. I mean, not the greatest break last night, losing Zack Hyman. That was one that didn't go our way. But at the same time, I'm sure we'll get into it. We got a depth in this lineup where there's next man up, and they're going to find this team, whatever adversity they faced along the way here, they just found, okay, this way wasn't working. We'll do it this way instead. Like, they'll find different ways to get it done here. And I think they can overcome losing Zack Hyman. And I was mentioning in my video, I imagine Zack Hyman's still going to be around the team, one of those guys in the dressing room. So he's still going to have an effect the rest of the way here. But yeah, this has just been a next man up mentality, different ways. They've won so many different ways, had so many different things go their way. So yeah, I mean, team of destiny is just the perfect way to put it.
It's been an odd year for that this season, this postseason, Lotsy, don't you think?
Well, the other thing that you didn't comment on is how many overtime games have we won?
Yeah.
At least 3 that I can think of.
Yeah.
Right, two against the Vegas, or 2 against Vegas in the second round, and 1 for sure against the LA.
And quickly.
and quickly, yeah. It's all been within the 1 overtime period. But there's definitely some things going right. But I have a hard time getting ahead of myself in situations like this. I don't like to get too excited about things before they actually happen because I don't want to jinx them. So I've got a lot of positive feels about this Oilers team right now. They've been playing real well for a long time. They're playing the best defensive hockey we've ever seen them play by getting contributions from all over the lineup. And it's a different team than they've ever been, right?
Yeah.
Like look at this series alone. Like this year, the Stars are the team that's the better rush team, and just their special teams is the better special teams group. They're leaning on their special teams because their 5-on-5 play hasn't been as good in the playoffs. And then you look at the Oilers. They came in as the better 5-on-5 team in the series. They've got a big advantage in 5-on-5 goals, even though Dallas has had the better of the play by the numbers. But and the Oilers' power play and penalty kill were struggling coming into this series. That's a complete flop of what the Oilers have ever been. Right? The Oilers were always the power player alliance and can't kill a penalty, can't play 5-on-5, the run and gun, can't play defense type of team. But look at us now.
Outside of the nuclear option, we're useless.
Right? It's not the case anymore.
Now it's like, how are we going to get that nuclear option going?
Yeah, no, they're playing too well apart. You don't want to put them together.
It's like, man, when they're playing together, they're just, they're slow and everybody else is scoring around them. Just not pulling their weight, those two, jeepers. Couple things I want to get to in the chat. I think they're relative, and one's a good segue for me. Let's go with Joe first. I worry about our forecheck physicality and ability to score without Hyman. Okay, Hyman was on a NHL record pace to break the amount of hits thrown in a postseason. What did I think? He had like 80 or 60 or something in the regular season, and he already had 110 or something in this postseason. Like, it's absolutely nuts. Nobody's going to fill that. Agreed. Scoring? The others have 59 goals in the playoffs, and Hyman has 5. Like, how are we going to replace 8% of our scoring? I don't even know if we have to. Next man up, I guess.
Not if Skinner keeps playing that way.
Right? Yeah.
We can afford to lose 5 goals.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So, appreciate the comment. There's no doubt. There's no disrespect to Zack Hyman. He's absolutely going to be missed. Like I said, when comparing Ryan's writing to his, he's a dog on a bone. He doesn't miss much. He's the type of guy that'll drag a team into a fight. And that's going to be missed. There's no doubt about it. I think he sets an excellent example when the team isn't going, and you see some of the things he does, because he doesn't take a shift. He doesn't take a second off, let alone take a shift off. And people see the effort Zach's putting in, and I think they're like, man, I got to play like that too. There's another comment I'm going to get to, but anything else on that, you guys? You want to touch on the loss of Hyman, or if and how much he will be missed?
I think you got it right, the physicality aspect, but we do have a lot of guys that can do that. Like Podkolzin's been hitting the lights out as well, not to the extent Hyman has been, but he's been racking him up as well. Evander Kane is the guy I have my eye on, though. He's been lighting it up. He's been contributing offensively way more than I thought he would. I'll give him a ton of credit for that, but he hasn't been running around like I would expect. Right? It's not that he's shying away from contact. It's just I don't think he's been hitting it up. Like, I don't expect Zack Hyman to lead the team in hits. I expect Evander Kane to lead the team in hits. So he's a guy I'm looking forward to add a little more there. And then Trent Frederick as well. He's a guy that might get a little more opportunity now that Hyman's out, and he's gonna have to step up.
Yeah, well, I think it was Stoff that was mentioning today that he thinks Evander Kane's going to see elevated minutes in the top 6 with Zack Hyman out, and that's where we may see more hits from Evander Kane, more of an impact from him with increased minutes there. And I think Kane is also just trying to play more smart last year. I think this year, last year he kind of took some penalties. I felt that kind of got the Oilers out of the game sometimes, and he's got to be Evander Kane for sure. We don't want him to not be Evander Kane, but if you're not, and even Draisaitl this year, I've noticed too, like Draisaitl used to always be good for a couple bad penalties, especially against the LA Kings. It seemed he'd be in the box 2-3 times, and we haven't seen that from Leon Draisaitl this year either. So I think part of the thing with Evander Kane is just trying to play smarter.
Yep, I agree with that. I know it probably looked like I wasn't listening, but I was. I've got on high authority. We may have a top secret guest coming in here. We'll see how this goes. No promises, but there's been a confirmation made. So we may be bringing somebody in here. I think they would be a great contributor if we want to make a shift over to Call Me Crazy. But the other thing I do want to touch on before we do that, and before if we can do that, there was a comment made in the chat by Cade. I know Lotsy's going to hate this, and it's going to like make him feel gross on the inside because we're going to talk about something more than a game ahead. Cade Riley says if the Oilers win, probably Bush. Oh, sorry. If the Oilers win the cup, will Stu Skinner get the Conn Smythe? And then he followed up his own message with, if the Oilers win, probably Bouchard gets it. If the season was to end right now, and the Oilers were handed the cup right now, we're not talking about the future, Lotsy. Let's just say the playoffs ended this moment, right now, and somebody has a pretend toy gun to your head and says, you must pick a Conn Smythe winner for the entire playoffs. Who would it be? And is it an Oiler?
For me, yes, it's an Oiler, and he's already won one. It's still Connor McDavid for me.
again?
It's still Connor McDavid for me. Don't get me wrong, Stu's been unbelievable, but he's got less than half of the team's wins, and he had a real struggle at the start of the playoffs. So, and when he hasn't been good, he's been real bad, right? So it's when it rains, it pours, and when he's on, he's on. I like where Skinner's game's at right now. I think he's playing great, but I don't think Conn Smythe is going to be in reach.
Yeah, I mean, there's argument for Bouchard, there's argument for Stu, there's probably argument for Connor, there's probably argument for, I don't know, is anybody else in that argument, Patrick? The Nuge, perhaps?
That's my pick right now for the Oilers for Conn Smythe. I mean, if we're talking like it ends right now, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for me. If Stuart Skinner can keep this up and they go all the way and win the Stanley Cup, and we're talking at the end of the Stanley Cup Finals, Stu's name definitely enters the mix. But for right now, I think Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has been the heart and soul of the team. It's been a team effort. No one person is infinitely better than the rest, but Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for me.
Yep.
The Nuge.
This might be the hottest it takes. I think for me, it's Stu Skinner right now.
I mean,
3 shutouts, 6-0 in Game 4s, continuing that trend again this year.
I guess if you look at it, Calvin Pickard goes down. If Stuart Skinner isn't there to go in, are the Oilers where they are right now? So, I mean, do you get it by default? But he also hasn't just come in and played well enough. He's come in and played excellent. So,
yep,
lights out, really.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's do a quick reset. We are Heavy Hockey. This is Oilers Live. We're on Edmonton Sports Talk. You can hear us on TuneIn. If you are listening to us on Edmonton Sports Talk or any form of Edmonton Sports Talk and you want to see us, we are on YouTube as well. We've got our own form of the Nasty Chat in there. And you can find that at Heavy Hockey at YouTube. Joining me tonight so far, maybe someone else is joining. I don't know. Ryan, is he? No, I don't think
I haven't seen anybody come in here, but I also have to say we are not live on Edmonton Sports Talk. We've been dubbed by the Edmonton Stingers basketball game.
Whoopsie.
We got bumped, but that's okay. We are live on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook tonight. So,
damn you, Stingers!
Thanks for tuning in.
Well, then let's hope our secret guest shows up because I'm going to give him hell. Can you send him a link on X, Ryan, please? I'm having trouble sending a link. It's not showing up for some reason.
Yeah, I could do that.
Fill space there, Patrick. Thank you.
Well, we know who we're playing if we get past the Dallas Stars here. The Florida Panthers
Oh.
eliminating the Carolina Hurricanes tonight.
They did. It was
So-
3-3 last time I saw it. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, they went up 4-3. I think that was the final score. I didn't see anything beyond that. So it ended 5-3 for the Florida Panthers. So, yeah, they've officially eliminated the Carolina Hurricanes and are on their way to the Stanley Cup Finals for the third straight season. That is pretty incredible.
It's impressive. Like it's hard to get there once in at all, let alone twice or three times in the salary cap era. Like it is pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian showing the final score there, 5-3. Yeah, because the Hurricanes were up 2-0 in that game, weren't they? And then
Canes were up 2-0.
Yeah.
Panthers went up 3-2. Then Carolina tied it in the third, about halfway through, and then can't remember who scored it, but Florida went ahead with like 8 minutes left, I believe, and held on. Bennett got the empty netter. So yeah, we know who the opponent will be for whoever comes out of this series in the West.
Who's your guys' MVP for the Panthers so far?
I haven't watched a ton of their games, to be totally honest. But from what I've seen, they're getting a pretty well-rounded team effort. Like, I can't really think of one dude that's been doing it. But the big thing with the Panthers is they've been getting a lot of contribution from their defense. Like, I think they've put up records for goals by defensemen in a playoff run, and they're equally as good off the rush too. Like, watching them play a little bit in the conference finals, like they're almost running like a swarm defense in their own zone. Like you have five guys inside the face-off circle if the puck's in the corner, and there's not a lot of room to move out there. So you just got to get the puck moving laterally and find a way to create some space. So yeah.
Who you got for the Panthers, Patrick? Who you think's been?
Yeah, that's hard. I don't know. It seems like Evan Rodriguez. I don't know if he's the overall MVP, but he always seems to be a key contributor. And Bobrovsky's always good. Carter Verhaeghe. Yeah, I don't know.
It's been tough with the injuries, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, like Matthew Tkachuk's always a heart and soul guy. I'm sure he's carrying the team, at least emotionally. I'll tell you, I've been impressed with Seth Jones. Playing that role that kind of Oliver Ekman-Larsson paid last year. And, you surround Seth Jones with a team like the Panthers, and, man, he sure looks like a different player this year.
Well, they were saying Seth Jones and Brad Marchand were like some of the best Panthers. I think it was last series, not so much maybe against Carolina, but against Toronto, like two of the key guys. So, I mean, talk about two key trade deadline pickups for them. I mean, when you can bring in Seth Jones and Brad Marchand, I mean, wow. But we got some pretty good trade deadline additions of our own. They're just not as big of names, but they've been key contributors, obviously, like Jake Wallman, John Klingberg. Would you guys try and re-sign John Klingberg? Or is it too full next year already?
Yeah, I can't see why not. I mean, if he's just happy staying exactly where he is, right in that kind of 6-7 spot and filling in when you can. And, he's a Band-Aid. He probably gets hurt, so he's a nice LTIR candidate. And
Well, he could be like a guy like the Corey Perry deal where he just sends a bunch of bonuses in his contract or something like that. And if he reaches certain things, he gets the bonuses. Keep it a low dollar amount. I don't know, like where else he's going to go unless he wants to like chase money for a year or something if they win the cup or something like that. But
you want to chime in on that, Lotzie, or?
Nope. I'm distracted. Sorry, guys.
So I'll ask you this right back, Patrick. What are your, like? I won't want to jump into the off season too much, but unless anybody hasn't figured it out, we're stalling trying to get our guest on here. What do you think? Oh, I lost my train of thought. Help me out. What were we just talking about? I'm sorry, guys.
John Klingberg.
Yeah, sorry. Since I'll ask you this: do you think Arvidsson's back next year?
I do not. I think for a $4 million player, it can't be a question as to whether you're in the lineup, especially in the playoffs. He hasn't played terribly when he's been in, not trying to knock him or anything like that. But to me, on this team, a $4 million player has to be a lock to be on the roster. You don't think about sitting a $4 million player.
Yeah. I mean, and we've done pretty well with those little scratch tickets and getting guys at $1 million or somewhere close to there. Imagine what we can do with $4 million.
Yeah. I mean, like once you reach the playoffs and you do what you got to do, but when we're talking about an 82 game regular season, and we saw Jeff Skinner be a $3 million scratch a lot of the time in last year. And like, you just don't want the caps going up and everything like that, but the Oilers really can't be wasting cap space like that, where they're sitting $3 or $4 million guys. That money's got to be better utilized to put a better roster on the ice.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I don't know if you caught his interview before last game, but he did not look happy. Yeah, like he did not look impressed about being a healthy scratch. And I'm with you, Patrick. Like if you're spending $4 million on a guy, he's got to be in the lineup.
Yeah. Dun 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 dun.
Oh, we've been hacked.
Evening, gentlemen.
Either we're all getting fired, or we've got our special guest. One of the two. I hope it's the latter. Mr. Matthew Iwanek. We're gonna switch roles here tonight. I often sit beside you on the hangout as you are hosting the show, and tonight you will sit in with the boys from Heavy Hockey. And,
Oh no, what did I sign up for?
Yeah, we've invited you
Sorry
on.
about
We're
your
gonna
luck, Matt.
sneak in for a little segment we like to call Me Crazy around here. But before we do that, I mean, I know your opinion because I listened to you proudly on the air today, and I heard it. I really actually wish I was on the hangout to sit there and argue with your home ice advantage arguments. So maybe we can get into that later too, or maybe I'll make that part of the
It's
segment.
brilliant.
Actually, it's not. It's horrible.
It is brilliant.
So I think we're going to work that into Call Me Crazy because I can't wait to do that with you. But maybe just before we start, overall thoughts. The Oilers, are one punch ticket away from another berth in the Western Conference Final. They're doing their thing with the Stars again. History seems to be repeating itself. There's words of it's our year and maybe it's destiny, Maddie. I know you and I both had the exact same opinion that we weren't sure if they'd get by the Kings, but if they did, they'd go all the way. Just thoughts thus far?
Yeah, it's when I look at the and you guys can hear me okay. Is this all good? Yep. Okay, perfect.
You're good. You're good.
The thing for me with the Oilers, like, and I'll just speak more to the Western Conference Final right now. It's twofolded. One, I'm surprised at how average the Dallas Stars look. I'm surprised at how, outside of yesterday's game, like Jake Ottinger has looked okay. I'm surprised that, take away the third period of game one for the Dallas Stars, they've managed, 3 goals? Like, they have no offensive firepower, and they have Mikko Rantanen. Like, they have players, and they can't score goals. And last night's the perfect example too, like where Jake Ottinger actually was Jake Ottinger that we know. Like, he kept them in that game so much, and the offense just couldn't find that second goal to tie the hockey game, or couldn't find 2 more goals to win that hockey game. But then on the flip side, one, I'm surprised at just how strong the Oilers look when you take into account they don't have Matthias Ekholm. Like, I think going into the playoffs, if we're all sitting there talking about no Matthias Ekholm, and the Oilers are going to breeze through a Western Conference Final against a team from the Central like Dallas, we'd be like, yeah, right. But these 6 defensemen are playing so well. And to everything I said about the Dallas Stars, I'm surprised at how much the Oilers are the reason for that too. I don't look at the Dallas Stars' struggles and go, this is all just they're not producing. Mm-hmm. I look at a lot of that as the Oilers have just been excellent. And I'll just look from a defensive perspective. Stuart Skinner has been utterly brilliant. The defensemen have been great. And then the forward groups have had a strong commitment to the defensive zone themselves. Like you watch last night's game, count how many Oilers are right there in front of Stuart Skinner. Like the Dallas can't get in front of net because there's just so many Oilers. And to Connor McDavid getting mad after the second round, I think it was, where he's like, we know how to play defense. He's not wrong in that, but I don't think anyone thought that they could play to this level. Like at this level where they are really just have taken it to another level. And even last night's game, like I know it's forward, but you lose Zack Hyman for 2.5 periods or whatever it works out to be. And he wasn't missed in that game. Like that's just how good the depth is of the Edmonton Oilers. And Reed Wilkins said it yesterday that like if there's no reason to believe the Oilers can't go win the Stanley Cup here right now, even without a Zack Hyman. There's a possibility they win the Stanley Cup without Zack Hyman and Matthias Ekholm, who are probably two biggest acquisitions in franchise history. But they're playing that well. Wow. Like you've got Connor, you've got Leon, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Evan Bouchard. They're 4 of the top 5 scorers in the National Hockey League playoffs. Only Mikko Rantanen sitting number 3. You got Stuart Skinner playing at a Conn Smythe level. You got a defensive group that are just have no real holes. That you don't need to rush Matthias Ekholm. So I'm Dash. Like we were on that hangout at that point, and we're like, LA's going to be a struggle. But if they get past LA, they're going to get rolling, and there's not no stopping them. And that's just what we've seen. Like they feel like a team of destiny. And then the other part of that, like I felt like watching the last few days of the conference finals that it was like Florida was sending a shot to the Edmonton Oilers as they were playing. This is what we can do.
Look what I can do.
Yeah, this is what we can do. And the Oilers went, oh yeah, well this is what we can do. And there have been some shots fired from each of those sides to each other, going, "We'll see you soon. We'll see you soon." So overall, like to shorten the answer, I'm stunned in a great way. Just how much better the Oilers looked than I think we could have ever imagined going into these playoffs.
Yeah, everything seems to be going in the right direction. There's no doubt about it. It's just it's a thing of beauty. Like we were joking before you got on, Maddie. That's if Nurse would have two-handed Rupe Hintz last year, it would have been a 2-game suspension. If Hiller would have challenged the Kane goalie interference call last year, it would have been goalie interference on Kane, and LA would have scored on the power play. Like it's just when I think you actually said it today that there's not too many teams that win the cup that didn't have a little help along the way, and for once, like we're getting a little help along the way. And maybe for once is the boo-hoo, I'm a diehard Oilers fan that's never gotten anything. And it does often seem like things go against the Oilers for some reason. And this year we just kind of keep coming up roses. So it's been fun. It's been fun. Let's jump into the segment. I think it's probably the best way to cover off everything else. And honestly, we've kind of kept a few of these topics until now. So, Maddie, I'm assuming you've seen this world famous segment before that is watched by all across oil country and everywhere in Edmonton all the time. It's clamored for. So clearly you know the rules. And I don't have to explain anything to you. All right. So I don't want to be presumptive and say here that, the Oilers win the cup. So let's just hypothetically say that we were saying earlier that, the playoffs end today. And the Conn Smythe was handed out. Call me crazy, but neither Connor McDavid nor Leon Draisaitl have been the best Oiler thus far in the playoffs, and likely deserve the Conn Smythe Trophy. Ryan?
I am going to call you crazy on that because, we got Connor and Leon who are the top 2 scorers in the playoffs right now. Having said that, I don't think we've seen the best of Connor McDavid yet. He only had 3 goals coming into the conference finals, and now he's up to 5 because he got 2 in game 3, I believe it was. So I think there's another level to Connor and Leon still, but they're still leading the league in playoff scoring. And I don't know who else you give it to on the Oilers. I don't think the argument's strong enough for Skinner. Bouchard's had some moments, but again, I don't think it's quite strong enough with the body of work. So I'm calling you crazy.
Not sure you're giving Skinner or Bouchard enough credit at this point. That's my comment to that. Patrick, call me crazy, but they're handing out the Conn Smythe today. I'm not sure it would be Leon or Connor's.
Well, I got to go with what I said a few minutes ago, and it's Nuge right here for me all day long. He's been the heart and soul of this team. Like I said, they wouldn't be where they are without Nuge. he's, I think, the most critical player for this team right now. Maybe he doesn't score all the goals, but he makes the smart play. He's the Swiss Army knife. He does the little things right. He's the great guy in the locker room. He's been the longest serving Oiler. He just bleeds orange and blue. And I think for right now, like I said, maybe we keep going here and Stu can get his name in there. But for right now, if we're calling it today, I'm going with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
2 shutouts to close off the Knights, another shutout to shift the series versus the Stars. Nobody gave him any credit. He'd be my Conn Smythe winner right now, Matthew. Call me crazy, but if they were handing out the Conn Smythe today, it wouldn't be Leon or Connors.
Well, it's easy to call you crazy, and on this one, even easier, I would say. Look, there is an argument for Stuart Skinner, except he also wasn't there for 6 wins. He wasn't in the net for 6 wins, and then that's going to hurt him if it was today. Now, if we're going to talk about after Stanley Cup final, that could easily change. But as of today, he wasn't there for 6 wins. And then Connor and Leon, they do sit atop the NHL points, and I'm just like, so it's 24 for Connor, 23 for Leon, 21 for Rantanen, 18 for Nuge, and then Bouchard's at 17 and Kyle Connor's at 17. While Connor and Leon haven't exactly had too many big games where we're like Connor and Leon are just taking over, it's like they've worked themselves into the playoffs to that. Now, we've started seeing it come the conference finals a lot more. We've started seeing them just take advantage of their skill sets a lot more as it gotten later. But when you look at a Connor and a Leon who are well over a point a game player in the playoffs, yeah, if Stuart Skinner was in for those 6 wins, it'd be a different conversation for me calling you crazier. But I just don't know how it's like, and even like you could even just say Connor on this one. Like, I don't think Leon wins this one. I think if it was today, I still think it's Connor McDavid. He's also had just some timely goals in there too. Like, was it 2 games ago at the end of the second period where Dallas was up 2-1? That if they go to the third period down 2-1, Dallas was due the next penalty. That's just how refs work. And the Oilers had a few power plays. They were due the next one. They scored, it's 2-2. But instead, before the period's out, after a period where Dallas really dominated, Connor goes and scores the goal. It's when he has picked his moments to go score as well, that I would have him there. But truthfully, it wouldn't take a lot of, if Stuart keeps playing the way he is into the next series, I think there'll be a lot of switches. I think there might be some switches because like this is how impressive it is that he wasn't there for 6 wins, and you're not that crazy for saying Stuart Skinner because of just how good these last few games have been for him.
Yeah, I may even have Bouchard second with Connor and Leon third. Bouchard's just doing Paul Coffey-like things, which is crazy since he looks over his left shoulder and sees Paul Coffey whoever he gets to the bench. But dominating games. The toe drags he used to make at the blue line and lose, they're still happening, but they're successful. He's scoring big goals, scoring key goals. Power play, doing some penalty kill now. That's the top pairing defenseman we've always dreamed of. And perhaps the craziest thing that I realized in that entire whole conversation we just had, you guys, is that we haven't had Ekholm. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl both have another level to get to, and we're up 3-1 in the Western Conference Final. That's crazy.
Now you're crazy, Dad. Now you really are crazy when you're saying that.
Right?
Oh, wait. Never mind. It's reality.
Yep. Bizarro world. Absolute bizarro world. All right. Well, staying on the Zack Hyman topic, he's out. We know this. Very, very, very high speculation. His wrist had surgery today. News broken by a listener on Edmonton Sports Talk this morning on the morning show, perhaps. Maybe. There's an argument to it.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't broken on her station because then somebody may have violated some rules.
I don't know. All right. I don't
know. I don't know if to say somebody's dad is my friend's dad is doing surgery, that dad might be in trouble. So hopefully it's wrong.
Mr. My friend's dad was just kidding. All right. But I think Terry Jones has said it's been his wrist, and I know.
I know John Shannon also had broken wrist.
All right. Knobloch's sticking with upper body, so let's just say he's broken his upper body. Somebody's got to fill in those minutes. I think they're going to do it by committee. The key question is though, who comes into the lineup? I think there's a lot of people that are clamoring for Ekholm. I don't think that's going to happen. A lot of people saying Jeff Skinner. A lot of people are saying maybe it's going to be Jones or somebody that can penalty kill. Call me crazy, but even though Zack Hyman's injured, Matthew Iwanek, I still don't think Jeff Skinner's going to see the lineup.
Well, I'll call you crazy because who gets in then?
Max
Like,
Jones.
Oh yeah, no, you're crazy here, Jeff Skinner.
They need to win some faceoffs. Noah Philp.
You're not throwing Noah Philp into Game 5 of Western Conference Final. You're not throwing into the Stanley Cup Final just yet. You're not throwing Max Jones into when you have Jeff Skinner sitting there. Like, and it's not like Jeff Skinner has had his moments this season. Like this guy, he's a point a game player in the playoffs. He has never played in a playoff game and not had put up a point. You know, like, and even though it's just the one game, so the one game he did produce to a degree. I don't think they have the depth to do it, especially with Connor Brown still not playing tomorrow. Like if Connor Brown was healthy, it's an easy answer here because he would have been a lineup and Arvidsson would be in over of Jeff Skinner. Jeff Skinner, though, I think it's clear he's number 2. The only argument then you'd make is, do they, it depends on which reporting you want to go with, but are they going to rush Matthias Ekholm to get him in and then you go to 11-7? That would be the other one. But I don't think the Oilers are going to risk Matthias Ekholm as much. Maybe I'll be wrong tomorrow with that one. So I think Jeff Skinner draws in, and hey, what a time! Fresh legs. So I'll go with I call you crazy on that one for sure. So that's 2 for 2 that you're crazy.
The Got Your Back podcast entertained the option of putting Troy Stetcher as a forward.
Who? To propose that one, was that Stretty Brownie?
Yeah, well, no, a texter, and then they entertained it, and they thought,
okay.
Did I say?
Didn't they do that one time earlier this season? I thought Stetch got a game up of forward earlier in the season.
He played forward for Vancouver too.
I can't remember which game it was.
Well, that makes 11-7 nicer then.
Well, it makes 12.
It's possible,
kind of.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like you could go mid game between 11-7 and 12-6.
Yeah. The 11-7, 12-6 hybrid.
Just whatever, and in whatever moment we know non-block likes to change lines. At one point, also, it'll just be instead of 12-6, oh, they're down to 11-7.
Well, if that's an option, then Patrick, you can call me crazy because I do not think Jeff Skinner is back in the lineup.
I got to call you crazy. I mean, Jeff Skinner's been such a good soldier during this playoff run. He's been waiting his whole career for this. He did get in the one playoff game, but you got to give this guy another opportunity, especially when you have a chance like this to do so. I guess they could do what you said and put Troy Stetcher up front, but when he can't even get in and you're putting Troy Stetcher in ahead of him as a forward, you've got Jeff Skinner there. You got to put him in there. You got to give him this chance here. He's been waiting, and that's a no-brainer for me. Unless they go 11-7 and it's just Ekholm in there. That's the only situation where I don't see Jeff Skinner playing. So I'm going to call it crazy. I say Jeff Skinner goes in.
Ryan Lotsberg. Nobody's called me crazy more than you.
And I love doing it. And I get to do it again.
There we go.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm thinking back to what Chris Knobloch said one of the last times he took Skinner out of the lineup, and it had something to do with how many guys or how many top 6 roles there are and how many bodies they have that can play top 6 roles. Right? Kane comes back into the lineup. Well, he can play top 6 minutes. So Skinner comes out because you have Kane who can do that. But Kane hasn't been playing top 6 minutes for most of the playoffs. Like it was him, Nuge, Hyman on the second line when they were loading up Connor and Leon for a bit there. But he's mostly been in the bottom 6. And guess what? You've got a top 6 opening now that Zack Hyman's out. Jeff Skinner is designed to be successful as a top 6 scoring forward. He is not a checking forward. He's not a bottom 6 grinder. So if you have a spot open in your top 6, you put Jeff Skinner in there over every other option you have.
Okay. I'm 6 for 6 on being called crazy so far?
Good night.
No, Patrick had Nuge, but he didn't have Connor early on.
Well, there you go. Okay.
So
5 out of 6 ain't bad. At least there's some divisiveness.
You're still
in
basically
there.
crazy, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, this I know, but
yeah, you weren't right in the end on what you were saying, but you just
try to create a segment around, like a 50-50 topic every once in a while.
Well, what? So what would you do?
Honestly, I think I would go Max Jones. I think we need a body that can bang.
Okay.
Dallas has shown to be intimidated. They've not been physical or anywhere close to it. I think he's somebody that, if the series does end up going 6 or 7 games, can put some more punishment on that defense, which we learned in game 7 or in 7 games in the Stanley Cup final last year adds up in Paul Maurice's famous rant. You hit them until they can't stand up anymore in game 7. So I think Max Jones is a guy that can do that. He can penalty kill, which fills Zack Hyman's role there. Skinner does not. Skinner's not going to be penalty killing, which means somebody like McDavid has to do more of it, and that always makes me nervous. So
Spurs were never really penalty killers throughout the regular season. Like, that was a new wrinkle they added just for the playoffs. So it's not as if Hyman's a key penalty killer that we have to suddenly replace.
Fair enough, I guess. That's true. Yeah, so that's it for me. I wouldn't hesitate with Noah Felt. I think why not get him some experience now? The series is 3-1. You're not putting him in game 7, where if you lose, you guys are done for the season. In fact, maybe we'll get into it later. I'm not even totally confident that the Oilers will win the next game. I think that they're just always that type of team that kind of needs one more to be able to close people off or get backed into the wall one more time. But I'm not done with Call Me Crazy. Let's go back to Ekholm. We were talking about that a little bit, and this is kind of building off of, maybe this is a part B question to some of this. I firmly believe, now call me crazy, but I firmly believe we should not bring Matthias Ekholm back until we absolutely have to. Like, we should put him in one of those glass tubes, and we'll give Nobby a hammer, and we'll put a sign on it that says, in case of emergency, break glass. And that's where Eki's going to live, I think. Call me crazy, Patrick, but I don't bring him back. I don't even think I'd bring him back in the playoffs unless we have to.
No, I think you do bring him back, because I'm trying to remember where I heard this today. I think it was on Overdrive. They were talking about it. But do you want Matthias Ekholm coming in like completely cold in the Stanley Cup Finals? Would it be better that he gets a game or two? We'll see how far this Oilers Star Series goes, but might it be better? That could be an argument for playing him in Game 5 tomorrow night, where he's had a game or two to get under his belt, and then he's more ready to go for the Stanley Cup Finals, because we have to remember he hasn't played in a very long time here now. So Matthias Ekholm, as good as he is, he's going to take probably a little bit to get going, and you can play him further down in the defensive chart until he is. It's not like you have to go in and put him with Bouchard in the top pairing right when he comes back or anything like that. But I wouldn't wait until it's an absolute necessity that you need Matthias Ekholm. I'd try and break him in, get him up to speed a little bit. And I'm sure he's been practicing hard and all that stuff, but game action is game action. So I wouldn't wait. No.
Part of it for me is, and maybe I don't know whether it's true or not, but I've heard that there's, risks that he could potentially make this worse enough that it starts to affect next season or has a missing time next season. So now there's the debate of win now, and any kind of Ekholm right now is an advantage to your team. So you put him in there, or do you, start to think about the guy's long-term health and let him sit it out if you don't need him. Call me crazy, Matthew Bartholomew Iwanek, but I don't put Ekholm in for the rest of the playoffs unless we absolutely have to.
You're not crazy on this one. I'm with you on this one. Like, this is if Matthias Ekholm was truly at a healthy level where they could throw him in right now, there wouldn't be a debate. Chris Knoblauch would have thrown him in last game. It would have been just that simple. Like, he's that type of defender. So the fact, like, I know he's saying he's ready. He's not. That's what a player is going to say. He's trying to persuade the coaching staff, the medical team, to let him play. there's clearly seeing something that he's not ready. You know, I think Tommy's pointed it out that recently at one of the skates, the doctors were on the bench watching him skate. Doctors aren't on the bench during morning skates watching those players skate around. They're watching Matthias Ekholm very closely. So this is a case of he's rushing himself along, and the doctors and the coaching staff are trying to make sure, is he actually able to step in the lineup? Because the last time we saw him in the lineup, he got hurt again. You know, he had an injury, came back and hurt. And they don't want that to happen again as well, too, because if you put him back just a little too soon, yeah, maybe you got him back in game 5 of this series, or even game 1 of the Stanley Cup final, and he wasn't ready, and he goes out early in that game. You know, definitely don't have him for the rest of the playoffs. I also look at this and go, the team's just playing so well. Like, it's not even like we're looking at the defensive core and going, well, these 5 guys are playing amazing, and this one guy, I don't know. Like, we're talking about Troy Stetcher's actually playing quite well. John Klingberg's been playing quite well. The other 4, I don't need to talk about those ones because you know we know how well they've been playing. That it's not a necessity. And that's where it's like, for me, if I was Chris Knobloch, I would wait till I see a loss almost. Like, if they lose game 5 and you think Ekholm's maybe ready, okay, now I'll mess with the chemistry of the 6 defensemen going into a game 6 to move it along. Or if we get to a Stanley Cup final, after the Oilers, let's say, win tomorrow, go to a cup final, I wouldn't start him because it's like, hey, this group's been doing it. And if they lose game 1, okay, now maybe I do it. But if they win that game, like, I'm not rushing Matthias Ekholm in because of just how well everyone is playing. They've gotten to this point. They've beaten some really good hockey teams without us going, oh man, the defensive zone is a disaster, or this player is a disaster. That I'm not risking putting in a 60% Matthias Ekholm, 65%, with the potential that he might get hurt in that game, even at the counter of messing with something that is working. So I'm with you, Dash, on that one. I would take this one extra cautious, and just wait till the absolute important moment or necessary moment to mess with what they have going, because it's working so well. Like, they are making the Dallas Stars look so average.
Yeah, and you make an absolute excellent point in the fact that there's just nobody to bring out of the lineup. You know, and almost what kind of a message does that send? Hey, my God, you've played absolutely awesome, but we're bringing you out. And I know it's just like Matthias. Oh, that's his spot to lose. I mean, if he's ready and he's 100%, he's back in there. It doesn't matter how well anybody else is playing. So you're right, Maddie. That just tells you right now he's not 100%. And if he's not 100% and he has an injury that can be tweaked in coming back, you know, that screams of a lower body like a groin or a hammy or a hernia or whatever. And then those are the types of things that really linger, man. And I've torn a hamstring, and there's some days it gets a little stretched. I'm like, oh boy, there it is again. And then you're okay. But like, having that happen twice in my life, I can't even imagine. Lotzie, call me crazy, but I don't use Ekholm unless we absolutely have to.
Yeah, like there's strong arguments on both sides here. Like, I don't think you're crazy here. Like, you guys brought up a lot of really good points. I don't know what Ekholm's injury is, but I would not at all be surprised if it's connected to the groin injury that he sustained in the 2023 training camp. He only missed 1 regular season game as a result of it, but he missed a good chunk of that training camp. And coming out of that, he said it's something that you're not going to snap your fingers and one day it's going to be 100%. It's not like a broken bone. It's something that lingers. Well, they played a lot of hockey last year. They went all the way to Game 7 in the Cup Finals, played until June 24th. A real short summer. Then they play a condensed schedule because of the Four Nations, and Ekholm played in the Four Nations as well. So he's played a lot of hockey with a groin that wasn't 100%. Then they missed some time after the Four Nations, came back 2 shifts in or whatever it was, out he goes again, and we haven't seen him since, right? So I'm pretty sure it's some kind of injury that he is definitely not 100% recovered from. I would be surprised if there was no risk of him re-injuring said injury. I think you have a point where we have to think about the guy's long-term future and our potential run next season. Because if next season comes along and we play him, he gets hurt now. It's like, well, shoot, we don't have him for this run, and we might not have him for next year's run either. Right? That's a road that I don't like going down. So
Yeah,
as
a
much
gamble.
as it's a gamble, as much as it's win now, and even Troy Stetcher says, yeah, Ekholm's a better player than I am. And he's right. Right? It would suck for Stetcher to come out. And we know Ekholm is an amazing player, but that's not a guy I want to lose next year either. And the other part of this is, what do you do with Darnell Nurse if you take Troy Stetcher out of the lineup?
Yeah,
Stetcher's the
interesting.
only guy that Nurse seems to play real well with. There's issues with Nurse playing with every other defender on the team. He and Wallman would be kind of the next best bet, in my opinion. But then you break up Wallman Klingberg. That's been a fantastic pairing.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. Yeah, I never even thought about it that way. Actually,
Mhm.
Stetcher being Darnell Nurse's Chris Kunitz.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
For sure. Well, I think we did well on that one because we got a good split. Even bringing out a few in our version of the nasty chat, Matthew. But Joe saying he's going to play at some point in time in the playoffs. You might as well get him playing games now. I mean, even there's a debate to that. Even really, you could just ease him in an 11-7 once he is actually ready, and you're still easing him in. And again, like putting him in too early might be the opposite of that. Cade Riley does not think I'm crazy. You don't put him in unless he's 100%. Kelly from Beer League Heroes, welcome, buddy. I haven't seen you on in a while. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for commenting. And he's got the absolute opposite opinion of Ryan. You don't gamble on a future that you're not a part of yet. You ice the best possible team when you have it, and nobody is 100% right now. Everybody's hurt. The team has come thus far without him. So,
but that's the thing, though, is that like the best team possible might actually be without Matthias Ekholm.
Part of the debate.
Depending on the level of injury, like that's the thing. He might say he's ready, and but if he's at 60%, Chris Knoblauch might sit there and say Troy Stetzer at the 90% because he's a little banged up from the playoffs versus Matthias Ekholm at 60. Well, that gives us the better chance of winning. That's the better lineup. And that's the problem with not knowing fully of what's going on with Matthias Ekholm. And then him muddying the water saying he's ready to go. And everyone's just thinking like, well, yeah, no, this guy's, he's going to come in and be Matthias Ekholm. But we're not going to see Matthias Ekholm when healthy. Like it is a banged up, lesser version of Matthias Ekholm, which is like still going to be what you would expect to be pretty good. But it's just like, what is that percent if you're the Oilers of, this is when he does make our team better. And that's why we have to change a winning
he's still going to be a
lineup.
Badass Viking. He's just going to be a banged up badass Viking. All right. Last one for you guys, I think. And then we'll probably get into some predictions. Maddie, you can get out of there. You can stick around. I don't know. You don't do predictions. So, I don't know. I don't even know if I believe my own craziness on this one. And imagine saying something like this halfway through the last series, the way Calvin Pickard was carrying himself and helping this team perform. But call me crazy. Right back to you, Mr. Iwanek. I don't think we're going to see Calvin Pickard play again this postseason.
Oh boy. Oh, that's a tough one. To say you're crazy would mean Pickard plays well, and that either means that Stuart Skinner got injured or he's played poorly. That's what it's going to say. Whereas I'm with you, Stuart Skinner's going to keep rolling, and even if he has losses, they're going to be like 920 save percentage or whatever it is. For the sake of not jinxing things, I'm just going to go with you're not crazy on this one. You're not that like because he's going to be afforded like 2 losses in a row. Like that's the thing. Like or no, 1 loss. Mm-hmm. I think if there's 2 losses in a row, then there would be a change. So if you start the next series and you win the first game but then lose 2, maybe that's where you start looking. Do they go to Calvin Pickard? And then it would be okay. Well, how did they lose? And was he close? And maybe he gets one more shot at it. But Pickard did play those 6 straight. Stuart Skinner played well against Florida last year. In the end, he actually did play pretty well in that series. I know the game 1 was 3-0, but The zero part's a big one. If you're not scoring a goal, you're not winning the Stanley Cup final game. You're not winning any hockey game. So I'm going to go without. I'll go with your number.
And to your point, yeah, well,
He's just
and that's
playing so
just
well,
it, right?
too.
And that's why I found this one intriguing and kind of left it till the end because goalies are polarizing that way, anyways. But to your point, yeah, I think you're exactly right. If Stuart Skinner plays the exact same as he did across 7 games of the Stanley Cup final again this year, this version of the Edmonton Oilers playing the way they are, that's more than enough. More than enough.
Yeah,
You're not even
seven
getting
games.
to 7 games. Yeah, absolutely agree. And because I am confident in that, Ryan Lotsberg, call me crazy, but I don't think we're going to see Calvin Pickard again these playoffs.
As much as I love to call you crazy, I can't do it this time. I'm with you guys on this. I don't think we're going to see picks again because it'll mean that Skinner has some sort of blow up like he did in games 1 and 2 against LA. And if he's playing real well, the team is playing real well in front of him. And that's the biggest thing. The team was awful in games 1 and 2 against LA. Skinner wasn't great either, but he seems to go as the team goes. So I just don't see him coming out again at this point. And yeah, he could lose 2 in a row, but as Maddie was saying, how did he lose those games? Were those games close? Were there soft goals, ones that he'd want back in there, or did somebody make a mistake somewhere? Was it a breakaway? Was it a 2-on-1? Right? So yeah, I'm gonna say you're not crazy.
And even further to what Maddie was saying about losing 2 games in a row, I think it very much matters where those 2 losses in a row would come within this series, right? I mean, if it's 2-0 Oilers, 2 shutouts for Stu, and then he loses 2 games, I think it's still his net.
Yeah.
If he comes out and the Oilers lose the first 2 games of the series, we might not see Stuart Skinner again. Ultimately, is the flip side to that, right? But that's not going to happen, Patrick. So call me crazy because I don't think we're going to see Cal Pickard again for the rest of the playoffs.
No, you're not crazy. Stuart Skinner is the guy for the rest of the way here. And to your point, too, if he loses 2 in a row, I don't think the Oilers are going to lose 2 in a row the rest of the way. They've played so well. If they play one bad game, they've been managing to come back and play amazing the next game. So even if Stu does, or the team in general, have an off game, I think they come back the next night and win it. So I don't think they're going to lose 2 in a row the rest of the way. Stu's been outstanding, and probably can't expect him to keep getting close to shutouts all the time. But if he's keeping the other team to 1 or 2 goals, he's doing his job. And with the defense the way they're playing in front of him as well, I think it's Stu's net the rest of the way here.
Yep. All right. Well, I got a clean sweep on that one the other way. So I think we did pretty good today. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you calling me names and keeping me honest, I guess. Let's just put it that way. You know what? We got bumped on Edmonton Sports Talk today for the Stingers, so we don't have to go to. Are we potentially on then, or what?
Oh, it was free.
Oh,
yeah,
maybe.
you guys could have gone on. Do you guys have access to that?
Yeah, we do. We were trying at the beginning.
Okay.
I was like, why isn't this working? And then I went on my phone and listened live. It was like, oh, they're still doing the Stingers game.
Oh, okay. I should have given you a
Oh,
heads up
no,
on that
that's
one.
okay.
My bad.
No, that's okay.
We'll
given
be
that
on next time.
Yeah, we don't need to go the full 90. So I say let's wrap it up in the next 5 minutes. Maddie, if you'll grace us for another 5, you don't have to give predictions, but you can still give some intelligent opinion because you're just full of them. No, you know what? Let's go back. I got to do one more. I forgot about this. Oh yeah,
You want to
baby,
go
I
to
wanna
that
do
one?
this.
Okay.
All right, okay. Maybe
So do
you're
I
the
have
guy
to
that says
outline
call
it?
me crazy, but here.
Yeah, I've got to be the one
Okay,
that's
okay.
that
Well,
I'm crazy.
you know the format.
Okay, so
Let's
this
go.
is gonna take a little bit of preamble for me to outline this. So I think that there is more pressure at times on a home team to the team that is the higher seed to have to start on home ice, and it is sometimes more advantageous to start on the road. So I have proposed a change to the NHL playoff format, which I believe would benefit the higher seed more, where the series becomes a 2-2-1-2 series. So the first 2 games you start with the lower seed home. Then it comes to the higher seed for 2. You go back to 1 for the lower seed, and then the higher seed gets the last 2. So in the end, also, of possible deciding games, 4, 6, and 7 would be at home for the higher ranked team. Lower seed would only get games 5. Right now, it's a split 4, 6, 5, 7 between the higher seed and the lower seed. And the reason I say this is better, I believe, also for the home ice team is that you just need to go get a split on the road, and you're laughing coming back home. Like right now, if Florida comes meet to Edmonton, they're just looking for a split. And then they're laughing going back to Florida. And then if you hold home court, boom, it's great. And even if you lose the first 2, you're coming back home. Whereas if you're that home team, you got to hold serve. You got to win those first 2 games. There's that little extra pressure on that home team in my mind. Call me crazy that the NHL format should switch to the higher seeded team getting to be on the road first, but then coming home, they still get 4 home games. They still get home ice advantage in the end. They're just starting on the road. Call me crazy. I'm going to start with, well, Dash, I'll let you go, and you could give the deferring spot, and then we'll let Lotzi and Patrick jump in.
I can't buy it. Not for a second, Maddie. I was screaming at my radio today. I can't, I won't. I want those first 2 games at home all the time, every time. The Oilers perform better under pressure. So good. Let's take that pressure right off the hop. It's the pressure not to split. Okay, well, let's have that pressure. We do better under pressure. And you know what? If it is a split, we're confident as hell going back right on the road for games 3 and 4 anyways. I'm speaking specifically to the Oilers there. I just think if I was a team, if I was the way I was playing, I want to come home to that crowd, especially an energy at Rogers Place like that. I want to start out with that. I want to finish with that. And I just can't see it any other way in my head. I think you're crazy.
Well, it's in the end, though. You go get that split. Like game 1, you lose game 1 if the home team. Now all the pressure's in game 2. You got to go get the win. Win game 1. Now there's pressure to win game 2 still, though, to hold serve. Whereas if you're that road team, you just win 1 game. You're laughing coming back home, and you know you have 4 of the remaining 5 games at home. Patrick, am I crazy?
That's a tough one because I like parts of that. But just looking at the Oilers' run this year, though, I'd kind of like to start with the 2 at home and just with how well they've played at home. But overall, I like it for – if I take the Oilers out of it this year and just think of it as a –
We introduced this to NHL next season.
I'd run it for a year and just see how it goes. I find it kind of intriguing. Like, I kind of like it, yeah. For this year, I don't want to touch it, but yeah, going into next year, you've got my attention. I kind of like that one.
Yeah, and the thing for me is like the Oilers through these playoffs too. They've started on the road through the first 3, or for the first 2 in the first 3 series, and I think has allowed them to just like they've experienced it all. Down 0-2, but coming home. Tied 1-1, coming home, and then up 2-0, coming home. And I would like to have seen that actually kind of continue, to see them start on the road, but then bring it home for this home ice, home ice fully, but then get their 4 games. Lotzi?
Just for the sake of argument, I'm going to call you crazy, and I'm going to do it for a couple of reasons. One is you said something about there being more pressure on the home team in those first couple of games. Is there not that same increase in pressure for the later home games, or you're trying to close out a series at home? And
it would be.
And then the other thing I'll say is I had a good thought. Now I've lost it twice.
Well, while you think about that, what I will say to the other part, though, is you always want to start a series off on the right foot. And that's where it's being able to then just go on the road and like just you're looking for just the split, and then the series can open up. Then you have a couple of games of tape even on just your opponent, and you could allow the rest of the series to play out. Whereas when you're still just trying to figure out who that opponent is, you have to win those home games because you're the home team. You don't want to lose home ice advantage, and that'd be the one little counter I'd have to that part. I don't know if you've thought of the other one.
I got it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to give you another second because I feel like this is like a boxing analogy. Like I'm going to try and win this boxing fight by waiting until the 10th, 11th, and 12th round, and I'll just knock them out then. It doesn't matter how many punches I take in the meantime.
Okay, well, go win the first 2 games on the road, and then you get a win in 4 on home ice. If you get a sweep, you're doing it on home ice. You don't have to go on the road. You get to celebrate it with your fans. And again, I'll even look at the end. 3 of the 4 possible series clinching games will be on your home ice. You don't have to worry about possibly being.
That's what I like about it.
No, I mean, it'd be great drama. I don't want to have to leave it to that, though.
My other, well, that's a good segue to my other point, because I'm thinking it might lead to more lopsided series. We might see more series finish in 4 and 5 games rather than 6 and 7 games.
I think it would.
Right? If you're making it that.
With who winning?
What?
The higher seed winning?
Right?
So you're
see, so it makes it even more home ice advantage. More advantage.
That's what you're trying to
seed,
do,
which makes my proposal even better.
You're trying to make it more of an advantage for the home team.
Screw parity.
Yeah, so you're against parity, is what I'm hearing.
Give some recognition to the regular season success. The Oilers were better in the regular season than Florida and Carolina. Let them have the advantages.
There you go. In theory, I like a comment from Ren here. I think it'd be interesting if we let teams choose whether they get to start at home or start on the road. Do you want to take possession or do you want to kick? Now, realistically, I don't think schedule makers could ever really make that happen because, last minute you're going to be like, yeah, we need this stadium open for the next 5 days. But that would be pretty fun too. All right. Well, let's end this thing off. I'm still going to hold you hostage, Maddie, since we're going to get this out of here. Let's talk a little bit about the next game. Let's maybe just go around the horn and we'll go clockwise. I'll start and then we'll give Matthew the last word to close off the show. Matthew, the rule of the show is after you've given your last word, you just say goodnight. And that's when we know to turn off the lights. So I'll start, and then we'll go to Ryan, Patrick, and then save the best for last. Yeah, I'll give you your flowers today. This time.
Yeah,
this time.
I'll send you 20
special
bucks.
Guest.
Maybe it'll be different on Monday on the hangout when I'll come and cause some trouble for you. All right. That said, tune into the hangout Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. with Matthew.
But especially
with Matthew Iwanek, Tom Gazzola, and Jasmine Sadiq. But especially this coming Monday with Dash in the Park. All right. Okay. I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth a little bit here. Like, honestly, my heart says that they're just going to close this thing off and end it, put them out of their misery. I kind of feel like this game will be like the closing game of last year's Dallas series. What was like shots were like 34-10. Like Dallas just took their bag and went home, or took their ball and went home. No, we're done. This is enough. Enough's enough. We tap out. That said, Oilers be Oilering, you guys. I don't know. Like, just part of me feels like they'll let one slip and they won't quite have their foot on the gas. But then again, that's the old Oilers, and this seems to be a different team. So I guess maybe I'm just setting this up for you guys to all take it home because I can't decide. I really don't know which way it's going to go. I'm kind of on the fence with it. So maybe you guys will make my mind up for me by the end of it. But we're going to make a prediction. I guess I'm going to say that the Oilers close this next one off, and it's no different than the last few games. It's 3-1 or 4-1 or something like that. And they go on to play the Florida Panthers for the second year in a row. Ryan, final thoughts?
Yeah, and I'm just going to speak to Maddie's point about Dallas looking average, because I was one of the few people that coming into this playoffs, even I thought Dallas was being overhyped. I thought they were going to lose in round 1 to Colorado. And I thought we had the advantage over them coming into the conference final here. Like, they were struggling at 5-on-5. They were on an unsustainable heater from Mikko Rantanen. I didn't trust their power play being as good as it had been throughout the playoffs. And we're seeing a lot of that come true in this series. Like, the Stars have had the better of the 5-on-5 play by the numbers, but on the scoreboard, the Oilers have a big advantage. I think if I'm remembering, it's 9-3 for even strength goals. Do I have that right? Yeah, it's 9-3 for even strength, or 5-on-5 goals for the Oilers. So it's been a big advantage, even though the Stars have kind of carried the play. But it hasn't been like the Stars have been better for 60 minutes every night. They come with 20 minutes of a flurry. and the Oilers withstand it because they can't generate very many great chances, right? So I'm not that boisterous type. I'm not the type to make bold proclamations, but I feel like the Oilers got this, boys.
Yep. Tough to
I think
disagree with any of that. I agree.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you, Dash and Ryan. I mean, this is just a different team this year. They've had the killer instinct in elimination games all along here. They'll have watched Florida advance tonight. I think they want to get as much rest as those guys are getting. Have 2 4-1 series. They got Dallas on the ropes. The Dallas Stars, to your point, Ryan, I think we were all picking Colorado to knock them out in the first round. I was totally shocked they got past the Avalanche, and I think it's just taken all Dallas had to get through Colorado and Winnipeg, and they've given the Oilers a fight. It's not like they've been a pushover or anything like that, but the Oilers have just been a team of destiny. That's the term today, and they've been the better team in this series, and I think they finish it off tomorrow night, and we got a rematch in the Stanley Cup Finals.
All right, Matthew. Finish it off for us, my friend.
Yeah, I don't. It won't be long what I'll have to say because you guys have said a lot of it. But like this Oilers team is just rolling, and the breaks are going their way. The bounces are going their way, and when you're good to be lucky to be good, they're getting it all this year, and it's just all feeling very much like this team is at the very least going to be in a very good battle with the Florida Panthers for the Stanley Cup Final. And as I said earlier, like the shots have been sent across from both sides to each other. As much as Panthers have had to worry about the Hurricanes, Oilers have worried about the Stars. To me, it's just they're also looking at each other and going, we're getting ready for this bout. We're getting ready for the rematch. We just had to go through these guys, but we know that we're meeting up with you guys very soon here. And with that, the Oilers will have seen that the Florida Panthers they've won tonight. And the Oilers don't want to have to play an extra game. They'll want to have finished in as quickly as possible as they can as well. Panthers are now in rest mode, and they've had some injuries that they're trying to recover from. The Oilers have their injuries. Matthias Ekholm, a few extra days, maybe he gets ready. Like, we don't know what his status is for tomorrow yet, but let's hypothetically say he's not playing. Just a few more extra games, or even if he does play, a few more days to rest to get the body, while the Panthers are resting up. So I just look at the Dallas Stars, and again, that was a game yesterday of Jake Oettinger that they needed, and yet they still couldn't score goals. They just can't find a way to get in the middle. They can't find a way to get to the net. There are no real scrums that the Dallas Stars are creating. The Oilers are doing a fantastic job keeping them to the outsides, blocking shots, getting in the lanes, not allowing the Stars to really have any good scoring opportunities. And outside of an unbelievable power play in game 1 with 3 power play goals, and since the Oilers penalty kill has jumped up, there's nothing from the Dallas Stars that tells me that they can score 2 goals tomorrow. And if they can score 2 goals tomorrow, well, the Oilers are scoring 3. And honestly, are the Dallas Stars going to score 3 tomorrow? I just don't see it. I think the Oilers finish it off tomorrow themselves. They come home, they get ready. I think it's reported if they win tomorrow, it'll be June 4th. Will be the start of the Stanley Cup Final. And the two teams are ready to battle once again, and the rematch, and the Oilers will want revenge for last year, and the Panthers want to prove once again that they're the best, and I can't wait for that. So, it should be a fun one tomorrow. I remember that last series clincher last year when the Oilers were hemmed in their zone for so much, and it was incredible that they didn't give up that goal. I don't know if we'll get that one from them tomorrow. I think they're a better team than that, but they will find a way to be just as good defensively and shut them off. And thank you, boys, for having me on. It's always fun being on with you guys. And with that, thank you to everyone for tuning in, and have a good night.